How to use the bypass tray for special paper on the Xerox ALtaLink copiers. This will be for all of the models that are ALtaLink. So sometimes you want to use a different paper than you have in the 4 paper trays in front of the machine. And so you do have another paper source. It's over to the left-hand side, and it is this tray right here, the one with the arrow. That's your bypass tray. So you can pull that out and you can load paper to copy onto in the bypass tray. So the way that you're going to load it, I'm going to just use this blue paper as an example, okay? So I'm going to load blue paper over here in the bypass tray, and you can load it landscape, you can load it portrait. I'm loading it landscape, which means short edge is going in. Be sure to close these guides, as those are the ones that are telling the machine the width of the paper, okay? So it's important that they touch the edges of the paper. And then you do have a max line back here. You can load up to 100 sheets of paper in the bypass tray. So once you've loaded the paper in the tray, look on your screen, because you are going to get this little pop-up that's telling me what it thinks is in the paper tray, okay? So it shows me the bypass tray, but look at the size. It thinks it's 11 by 17. That tray does not have sensors for both width and length, and so it doesn't always pick the right paper size. So be very careful with that. Don't just hit confirm, because then your job won't work because it thinks it's a different paper size. So always check the screen for the bypass tray and go to size if it's incorrect and choose the correct size and orientation of the paper that you've loaded. Now, if you want to, I can also go into color and tell it that it's blue. That'll just give me a better quality. I don't have to do that for the color, but I can if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. And then I'm going to touch confirm. Now I want to make a copy. All right, so when I lay my original, I'm going to lay it the same way as the paper, which is landscape. Okay, short edge going in, making sure I close the document feeder guides and making sure my light is on so it knows that I have the paper in there. And then I want it to choose from that tray. So on the home screen, I'm going to touch copy, and I'm not going to leave it in auto paper select. I'm going to touch paper supply, and I'm actually going to touch the bypass tray. And you can see that the little symbol is even blue now because we called it blue. So see how all the other trays say plain white and that one says plain blue? I'm going to select that tray, and then I can make any other selections that I want and press start, and it will pull from the bypass tray, okay, and make my copy. So anytime you use this tray, be sure to check that screen and make sure that it's on the right size, type, and color, okay? So let's see how I did here. Yeah, there you go. So it did just fine pulling from the bypass tray with my blue paper. Now, let's say I want to load something else over here. So I take that out, and I want to put a larger piece of paper in there. The document feeder can go up to 11 by 17. So I'm going to go ahead and load this paper. So I need to move the guides out so that I can put the paper in. Okay, I'm going to put the paper in, and notice how it's laying. It's kind of curved. There's an extension that you want to make sure you pull out on the edge of the tray for anything longer or larger than letter size paper. And now it's laying nice and flat. You can actually load up to 12 by 18 for the paper size in the bypass tray. And then I'm going to close my guides, okay? So I have 11 by 17 paper in there. Now, when I come to my screen that popped up, it doesn't have the correct size, and it still says that it's blue paper. Whatever someone's changed it to, it will keep that setting. So you always have to pay attention to that when you're using the bypass tray, because you don't know what the other person used. And notice how I have a red light here. It's telling me it needs me to tell it what's going on here. So I am going to touch the size, and I'm going to choose the correct paper size for my paper that I loaded. And I don't need it to be blue anymore. So I'm going to touch color, and I'm going to go back to white, okay? And then I'm going to confirm. So for this particular paper, it's not a special weight or anything. I want it to show the right size. I want it to say plain because it's not a special weight of paper, and I want the color to be white, and then I'm going to confirm. And then when I want to copy something, it's going to be the same rules. So I'm going to put an 11 by 17 in the document feeder. Close my guides so it knows the size. And then I'm going to go into copy, right? Sorry, that's not copy, is it? Let's go to copy. And I'm going to go to paper supply. Okay. And there, it's actually still on the bypass tray because I hadn't cleared it. But usually it's in auto paper. So you come to paper supply and you select that bottom one because that's the paper you want it to use. And then press start and it will pull from that tray. So the rule of thumb on the bypass tray is pay attention to what the screen is showing you and make sure that you have the size, type, and color that matches your paper. And then you will get your document on the right size of paper.